what would you do for that perfect cup of tea? I drove all the way to the highest tea garden in the world. This is the Kolukkumalai tea estate, the highest tea garden in the world at 7,130 feet. Now the track getting up here is challenging for most 4x4s. The Hilux, we barely had to put it also into four-wheel drive. Most of the section, it was in rear-wheel drive and it came up here without any problems. And that's why we are now going to head out deep into the Kolukkumalai estate and discover what promises to be views that will boggle the mind. The route up to Kolukkumalai is a tricky one. It is steep, it is very narrow, very rutted, very bumpy, very rocky, very everything. No private cars are allowed. The only vehicles that are allowed are local 4x4s driven by local drivers. Drivers who know the lay of the land. In fact, those 4x4s, every 6 months, they have to go for a fitness certificate because this is a very tough trail. If anything breaks down here, well, everything is going to get shut. There'll be no up traffic, no down traffic. And it's also dangerous because the drops are very steep. That drive is very pretty, very beautiful. And it is something that you can experience in a 4x4 local taxi. You'll probably throw up halfway up, but you can experience the beauty of the place. Now, where we are is something very exclusive. This is deep inside the Kolukkumalai estate. We are heading up to the Bose Peak. It's probably named after the owners of this tea estate. This is the highest elevation orthodox tea garden in the world. Don't ask me what orthodox tea means. I think it is all purely organic. I'm actually a coffee drinker, so I don't know much about tea. We will sample that later on. But this is high. Half the places you are driving above the clouds. The views are crazy. If the views driving up to Kolukkumalai was spectacular, this is, oh my God, it's unbelievable. The Hilux is legendary for its abilities, and that's because of this rugged and torsionally rigid ladder frame chassis. This can take a solid beating. You point it up anything, through anything, and it will just keep going. Now, compared to the Fortuner, it has a longer wheelbase. It also has leaf springs at the back. So on the road, the ride is bumpier, but out here, this can take a pounding without a problem. And you have this incredible diesel engine. Now, honestly, in this whole rush to go electric, diesel engines are becoming a bit of a rarity. And this one is one of the finest. 201 bhp, 500 Newton meters of torque. This is a monster powertrain. It'll just go gud over everything. Adding to the abilities is the shift on the fly, so it's activated by this knob out here. And on the drive up here, most of the time we were in two-wheel drive because this did not even need us putting it into 4x4. So here you stick it into 4x4 because the track is even more intense out here. And for the really tricky bits, you can put it into 4 low and just keep powering through. In 4 low, the amount of torque that's going to all 4 wheels almost doubles. 500 Newton meters is what this diesel engine puts out. And it's like a beast. It just plows through everything. The whole charm of the Hilux, it just gets you. You look at it and you want to go on an adventure. And not a namby-pamby adventure. You want to go on a hardcore adventure. And this is hardcore. This trail is extremely bumpy, extremely rutted, You really have to be careful. That's why we are crawling. The first rule of off-roading is do it as slowly as possible. You don't want to damage your vehicle. You don't want to hurt the people who are in the vehicle with you. You don't want to hurt yourself, obviously. When you're driving off-road, always thumbs outside the steering wheel so that if the steering kicks back, you don't hurt yourself again. The Hilux, it gets hydraulic power steering, so you can get a good amount of feel, you know what's going on. If there's one thing that you need to be a bit careful of on the Hilux, it is three-pointed turns, because this is huge. It is big, so that's why you have to look in the wing mirror to make sure that your tail is not knocking off any T bushes, and it just crawls through everything. I just love the way it tackles all of it. Toyota also gives you some useful accessories, like that mirror on the left of the bumper. It lets you see the absolute edges of the left corner, so you know exactly where you are. On trails like this, that it proves to be incredibly useful. And then of course there's the ground clearance. Got a big rut out here, and with this ground clearance, you can hear the running board slightly touching it, and it goes through. I love this thing. I just love the whole promise of go anywhere ability in comfort. This has space for 5. Then of course you have that massive loading bay, so you can put in your cycles, your off-road bikes, your tent. The ergonomics are spot on. I'm surrounded by 7 airbags. The driving position is lofty from where your survey lands far and wide. There is a built to last solidity to everything, which explains why most of the 20 million examples that have been sold across 180 countries are still in service. When things get tricky, you obviously have low ratio. Then you can lock the diff so you have even distribution of power. While going down, you have downhill descent control. So there are a bunch of electronic aids to help you out. But the Hilux, it is a proper mechanical beast. Toyota, when they make things like this, pickups like these, the reliability, the longevity, the durability is a given. The Hilux name, even before it came to India, everybody knew about the Hilux, and that's because it has won wars, covered deserts, conquered mountains. It has done everything. This is a brand in itself. A Hilux will never break down. The way this thing has been built is just so tough and rugged and durable. Yeah, you could point out that some things, that the plastics are hard and all of that, but you know, that's not going to fall off. That's not going to squeak or rattle. That's not even going to fade in the sun. Nothing will happen to this thing. This will outlast you, and it'll just keep going until diesel runs out, I guess. It has the distinction of being to both the North and South poles, and its reputation for excellence in quality control and dependability with owners has ensured it is the best-selling utility vehicle over the 55 years and 8 generations that it has been in continuous production for. And the Hilux, because of its maneuverability, because of the ease with which it could go through tough terrain, it managed to beat an army that was twice or thrice its size. Like a stupendously large mountain goat, the Hilux clambers over the track, 17-inch 80 tires finding grip and bite higher and higher, punching through the boulders and rivulets until there is no track, no sunlight, no trekkers, no tea bushes, no tea planters, no Google Maps. These aren't Himalayan heights, but this is high enough for a shiver to run down the spine. You might think I'm crazy to come all the way up here just for a cup of tea, but the Hilux indulges that adventurous streak in you. It makes you come up here, and then once you experience this, you want to do it all over again, over and over again. The best cup of tea? I'm not sure about that, but the most satisfying, that's for sure.